Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is me, Jordan Young. This is another Certified Hood Classic. Today we're going to be catching up on some sneaky sneaker news stories. We're going to start off by recapping the release of the Converse Shai 001. These things dropped a couple of days ago and have sold out in every available size, including the very small sizes, the UK 3s, the 4s. Small sizes are gone. I feel like if a sneaker sells out in all sizes, including the tiny ones, you know it is a hot sneaker. Let's talk about these shoes, man. So this sneaker has been getting a lot of hype, obviously mainly thanks to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who this past year became an NBA champion. He's also the league's MVP. And not only that, this guy is regarded as like the best dressed guy in the NBA. Now, I'm not sure if that's a particularly strong accolade to have, nor a particularly difficult one to acquire, but pushing that to the side for a little bit, these shoes have had a lot of hype around them, and I feel like Nike and Converse probably did the right thing in not releasing these during the playoffs. A lot of people were complaining that Shai was giving these things a lot of airtime during the playoffs. A lot of people were talking about them and they weren't available. And you had to feel like had they released them during the playoffs, during that run that OKC had, they would have been mad popular. But they decided to put a cap on the release. And now with the next season right around the corner, they've dropped these things now and they have sold out. Now these things retailed for 115 pounds, which is, what's that, like 140, 150 odd US dollars, which is a very accessible price point. That is significantly lower than any Jordans. It's way lower than the Kobe's. It's, yeah, pretty decent price. It's a pretty decent price rather for a performance basketball shoe. Right now, these things are on StockX for 220 pounds. So basically, right around 2x retail is what you would be paying for these, including the fees and the shipping. So a very appreciable shoe, no doubt. I feel like the other colorways that are set to drop will probably be, you know, slightly less popular than this initial launch colorway, the butter colorway. They are like pretty nice in terms of their design. I'm not massively sold on them myself, but I do feel like if you are a hooper, you are a fan of Shai, this is going to be a bit of a no-brainer type shoe to come up on. I would be interested in getting a pair in just to see how they feel in person, how they fit and how they feel on foot, maybe even have a little bit of a shoot around. This launch colorway I feel will probably be the most desirable given it's, you know, the first shoe, the first colorway, all that type of jazz. I do see this shoe sitting further on down the line. You know, give this shoe 6 months or whatever to cool out and these things will probably be very easy to come up on. But yeah, did you guys cop a pair of these? Feel free to let me know. So the other big release that we had this week was the Supreme. Well, these actually released yesterday, didn't they? Was it yesterday or the day before? These released the last couple of days anyway. The Nike SB Dunk Low collaboration with Supreme. This has been another one of those collaborations that we've been talking about for a long time now. The images broke out maybe towards the back end of last year. We've been seeing different stock numbers and rumors around different colorways. I think we had here in the UK the white pair and the purple pair and the black pair, and then the other two pairs, like the sort of green pair as well as the blue pair, might have been somewhat more regionally exclusive. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but these things have also gone on to sell out pretty quickly. Prices on them aren't wild, so the black pair and the white pair, understandably, given how nondescript and anonymous they are going for, what do we got here? 157 for the black pair in my size. So if you paid that, you're paying, what about like 70 quid over the retail price point, including fees. The white pair is going for even less. The real popular pairs are the blue pair, the Ocean Fog. Those things are selling for a fair bit. 292 pounds is the ask. I like the purple pair. I always said that the purple pair is the nicest out of the set. Something about an SB Dunk with that purple color blocking, to me, really lands nicely. But yeah, the absolute money maker or the big banger out of all of them, I think, are the Camper Greens. These things were, I think, the rarest And as a result, these things are selling for the most, 457 pounds, last sale 481. So that has to be like the most expensive SB in some time. Someone can correct me out there if you feel I'm wrong. So yeah, a couple of big releases went down this week for sure. And we do have a couple of other releases to talk about at the end of the episode. But yeah, let's get into some news. Starting off with a pretty legendary Jordan. I feel like this is a real collector's Jordan, a real if you know, you know type Air Jordan. Most people will look at this as just another pair of the black infrared 6s. But those of you that know the game, that have been tapped into the culture, will know that the reverse infrared is a grail tier sneaker. I think these came out in 2000s, or it was 2001 off the top of my head. And it was originally a sample. And the sample featured the Nike Air branding on the heel in the infrared color. And that's where the whole reverse infrared name comes from. The fact that the Nike Air, which you'll know on the infrareds featured in the black embroidery, was reversed to the infrared embroidery, making this a real collector's item historically. But these are going to be dropping next year. No specific release dates that I've seen just yet. So yeah, let's have a look at the shoes themselves. They're looking clean, they're looking nice, got the icy outsole. The upper is looking correct. I mean, is this a bit of a hot take? But I feel like the Jordan 6 is an underappreciated Jordan. I feel like so much love gets foisted upon the 1s, the 3s, the 4s, the 11s. Shoes like the 6s tend to get a little bit overlooked, and as a result, I feel are a little bit underrated. I'm definitely in the market for these, even though my 2019, oh actually there's the Carmines. Even though the 2019 pair that I have is still really fresh, I would be tempted to get these reverse infrareds. What about you guys? Got a first look at the Nigel Sylvester Air Jordan 4 Sail and Cinnabar. And this quote unquote first look, courtesy of XC Potato Pick sneaker, is actually worse than the preliminary first look we were given when this shoe first made its appearance on Nigel Sylvester's runway show earlier on this year. Albeit that shoe was completely obscured from view thanks to some incredibly flared cuffed pants. They knew what they were doing with those pants. But yeah, let's take a look at XC sneakers, Potato Picks. Yeah, look, it's a classic fire red, color blocked Air Jordan 4 with the mini swoosh detail on the front. Looks like we've got some suede. Well, is it suede or is it the similarly textured material along the mudguard that we saw on the Brick by Bricks? I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of hard to tell from here whether that's a suede or whether or not that's the textured synthetic leather. The aged midsole, aged touches on the netting. I mean, the whole age vibe is completely obligatory at this point, you have to say. But yeah, look, it's a nice shoe. It's a clean colorway. Did we really need another play on the Air Jordan 4 Fire Reds? So, well, actually, it wasn't even that long ago we had the Fire Reds, was it? These came out, when did these come out? Man, I haven't even worn these enough recently as it is. Let me double check. Was this 2020? Oh, it was 2020. Crazy. These are like due for a retro, and I don't even feel like I've gotten my money's worth out of these as it is. So, okay, the fact that these came out last in 2020 and the fact that we're getting, you know, like a kind of retro of sorts with this collaborative shoe does make a little bit of sense. Does that mean that we'd have another Fire Red retro around the corner where Jumpman can offer up a consolation? Probably. Seeing a few people out there saying things like, you know, we're getting a little bit tired of 4s at this point. I mean, the thing is 4s have always been really good preying ground for Jordan to latch on to, you know, the nether regions of our wallets. So yeah, you shouldn't be surprised, shouldn't be getting tired of 4s. They're going to be coming out whether you like them or not. We've had a closer look at the LeBron 23. Man's on his 23rd shoe. Just let that sink in for a second. Bro's longevity is completely unquestionable at this point. 23 signature shoes. Look, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that this colorway looks fire. And I'm not just saying these look great because they have been deconstructed. This upper material looks really intricate. The lower portion of the sneaker looks really interesting. These things have got a whole bunch of technology, including some carbon fiber, including the foam. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely on message with the current performance basketball scene. They're low top, they look light, they look agile. Yeah, I mean, these definitely look like LeBron's hottest new signature shoe in a minute. Are they gonna be really popular to the point where they're gonna be selling out like the 8s and the 9s and the 10s? I don't think so. I think a lot of people are kind of done with LeBrons in that sense, but yeah, I actually quite like these. What do you guys think of the LeBron 23? We've had a Jumpman Jack sample surface, which has been doing the rounds, sparking some interest and maybe fueling a little bit of speculation that these could potentially see a release further on down the line. It's a very simple colorway, panda-esque, very clean, can't be denied. What do you guys think? I think this is probably, of all the Jumpman Jacks that we've seen so far, probably the most wearable, just because they're so neutral. Will these end up getting a release? I'm not sure, but I will keep you guys updated nonetheless. You guys might have seen this story doing the rounds where the Wu-Tang dunks showed up in a Ross outlet store for 70 bucks, completely destroying the legacy of the shoe. Nah. Let me just remind some of you guys out there that these shoes have been selling in the past for like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And so now we're in a time where the exact same shoe, more or less, is available at Ross for 70 bucks. But this shouldn't come as a surprise, because basically the Nike Dunk hype has fallen off a cliff in recent years because of oversaturation. This particular colorway was made widely available. They produced bare pairs of these. And in the smaller sizes, the sort of bay sizes or the misses sizes, these things were never going to be as popular. Most of the people that got their hands on these did so because they knew what the Wu-Tang dunks always were and wanted to have that piece of history in their collections, or they just liked this particular colorway. So yeah, it's not surprising. These things have actually gone on sale here in the UK, where they're still sitting long after going on sale. So yeah, this isn't surprising, but for some people out there, including maybe the hardcore collectors or the people that maybe paid thousands upon thousands of dollars for this particular shoe, you're definitely going to be looking at these on sale a little bit salty like. Speaking of grails going on sale, this isn't the same level as that, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the resale prices on the Undefeated 4s, because it's now been a week or so since they've dropped more widely. The release is done, it's over now. This shoe has gone from being a massively reselling sneaker. About this time a month ago, it was early on in August, that the first release had gone down. The website release was right around the corner, and so prices were up around like $700–800. And now they have pretty much settled right around $300. 300 pounds, which I think is pretty close to, like, closer to $400, maybe like $350 to $400. And so now is probably the time to strike if you were trying to get your hands on a pair of the Undefeated 4s. If you guys have seen my review on these, you'll know that my particular pair, at least from a quality control standpoint, came through pretty decently. These things don't have anything in the way of like any hardcore blemishes or imperfections, a little bit of glue markage here and there, but yeah, one of the main reasons why this shoe hasn't performed as well in the resale market as a lot of people might have expected has been because the QC. And the other reason is because they made quite a few pairs of these. The rumors are there was something like 100 to 150k pairs made available. And so between the high stock numbers and the dodgy QC and the fact that it's another Air Jordan 4, the hype has definitely fizzled out, particularly once people were past the FOMO stage. So I feel like now is the time to strike if you didn't come up on a pair of these and you want to get a pair, bearing in mind obviously this was at one point, a very, very rare and hard to even fathom owning shoe. I feel like, yeah, 300 quid, if you can get them for under 300, like between 250 and 300 pounds, I feel like that's a good place to be. If you're trying to sell these right now, chances are you're going to be making some lunch money at best, or getting your money back if you're in the US. Yeah, I feel like most people that wanted to get their hands on these have now gotten their hands on them. Right, so let's do a little bit of an update for you guys on the Tom Sachs Mars Yard 3.0. You guys have probably been hip to the release info pertaining to this sneaker, suggesting that today, the 5th of September, is the release date for the sneakers. Now, this release date today is the release date that's available to those people who have actively participated in Tom Sachs's ISRU campaign by signing up to the app and doing the daily physical tasks. If you guys have been keeping up to date with all the movements on that app, then you are going to be able to enjoy an exclusive release, I think, via that specific app today. But for the rest of us, there is a global release going down on September the 12th, I think, here in the UK and the EU, and September the 13th for you guys over there in the US. The retail price point, $275. And we've spoken about it before. Despite the controversy, Nike have stuck with him. They have allowed him to continue on in this tried and tested formula, making these hyper durable, wearable shoes. There's still a lot of hype for these things. These things are going to sell out instantaneously. They are going to command huge amounts of resale. And the fact that they've staggered the release in this formula that we're now like getting used to, where the shoe is going to first drop exclusively for a select coterie, and then it's going to wheel out more broadly in a global sense at a later date, giving those initial purchases an opportunity to feel a little bit special, and giving other people the opportunity to get a little bit jealous, building the hype. Yeah, the hype is going to be massive for these. £800 is what they're currently going for in the early market. I would expect that price obviously to come down after the initial release today, as well as the more broader release next week. Probably see these coming down to, I don't know, like £300-400. It's definitely going to be one of those types of shoes that you're going to struggle to get a hold of. Some of the other shoes you guys might want to keep an eye out for. You've got a Bape Adidas collaboration. There's a Samba. There's also a couple of pairs of cleats as well. Guys have also got the Cavestone 4s, September the 6th. And then also on September the 6th, the Limousine Skateboards, Nike SB Dunk Low. Pretty cool pair there. And that's gonna wrap us up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I'll see you guys very soon for the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care for now. Peace.